Let's talk about Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were the first seed heading into the matchup against the Washington Commanders. And when you win the first seed, for the ones that don't know, you get a first round bye in the playoffs. They lost to the Washington Commanders, a rookie quarterback at home, 45-31. First of all, shout out to Jaden Daniels, the Washington Commanders. But when I look at Jared Goff compared to Jaden Daniels, it was night and day. Now, Jared Goff is the same quarterback just a few years ago. Helped the Rams get to a Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. They lost that Super Bowl. Sean McVay saw there's a ceiling to this team with Jared Goff. They moved off of Jared Goff in favor with Matthew Stafford. They win a Super Bowl with Stafford. The Lions have cashed in on those draft picks. They've went out. They have built a great team in the trenches. They have a phenomenal head coach in Dan Campbell. Two phenomenal coordinators, and Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator. They have put a very good team around Jared Goff. And when it mattered the most in today's game, and I'm not trying to come on here and take away what he did in the regular season, because Jared Goff was a top quarterback in the regular season. When it mattered the most, Jared Goff gave the game away. He had 3 interceptions in tonight's matchup. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And Jameson Williams, he also had an interception. That's 4 turnovers on the day. That's 4 interceptions. Not only just that, Jared Goff, on top of those 3 interceptions, he had a fumble that he lost. Jared Goff had 4 turnovers himself in this game. It is similar to what happened many months ago when they went against the Houston Texans and he had 5 interceptions in that matchup. I look at Jared Goff. He is a good quarterback. I don't want you guys to get into the comments and think that I'm saying that he's terrible. He's not a scrub. He's far from it. You can make the case that he's a top 5 to top 10 quarterback in the regular season. But what do we mostly remember about quarterbacks? We remember some of the regular seasons like Patrick Mahomes, like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, when they have crazy regular seasons. What do we really know them for? Playoff success. What have they done in the playoffs? The same with Big Ben and Eli Manning. Eli Manning is going to get to the Hall of Fame because of those 2 Super Bowl wins against Tom Brady, because he came up clutch. When the team needed him the most, he stepped up. When the Detroit Lions needed Jared Goff the most, he didn't step up. And last year against the San Francisco 49ers, he didn't play terrible. He didn't play great either. And he's getting paid a lot of money. And we could talk about the fact that a lot of quarterbacks are getting paid a lot, that's just the going rate at the quarterback position. That is true. There's higher expectations for Jared Goff. This has been a 4 to 5 year rebuild with this organization, with a very good head coach, Dan Campbell, 2 phenomenal coordinators, a great offensive line. Forget just good. From tackle to tackle, this offensive line, in my opinion, is the best line in the league. We could talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, how they have a great offensive line, and they do. I'm talking about do it all. This is the best offensive line in the league. Jared Goff barely gets touched. They open up rushing lanes for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. This has been a 5-year deal in the making. You have the first seed. This was the best regular season in Lions history, and they blew it. Home field, 45-31. I don't know if they can bounce back from this. I love Dan Campbell as a head coach. I think that he's a very good head coach to play for. I think any player would be lucky to play for Dan Campbell because he loves this game so much. Sure, he's a little too aggressive at times, but that is what makes Dan Campbell Dan Campbell. I came out and I called him a psycho a couple of days ago in a great way because it rubs off on the players. I don't know how this team's going to look without Ben Johnson because he will be a head coach this hiring cycle. I don't know how the defense is going to look without Aaron Glenn because he's going to be a head coach this hiring cycle. Usually when teams go out there and they suffer the loss that this team just had in the playoffs, they don't always bounce back. We've seen it with the Patriots. They'll go back out there the next season. They'll get the first seed in the pass to Tom Brady. They'll win a Super Bowl. We've seen it with the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen it many decades ago with the Denver Broncos. And many, many decades ago with the Steelers when they had a dynasty, and the same with the Cowboys. But I look at Jared Goff right now, and I look at the Super Bowl against the Patriots. He's the same guy. You can't turn the football over in the red zone. Jameson Williams, post route, he's open. There's separation there. A great play by the cornerback. You have to draw the football out just a little bit further. You're leaving points on the board. You could have walked away with 3 points or even a touchdown in that situation. And then you threw a pick 6. You gave them 7 points. 7 free points, and you got yourself knocked loopy in that situation. They had to bring in Teddy Bridgewater. And even though the offense was able to bounce back from some of those interceptions, you know that your defense is banged up. Why are you putting your team behind the 8 ball? This is what made Tom Brady so great. This is what makes Patrick Mahomes so great. They understand situations. When you see a red hot quarterback on the opposite side and your defense needs a little bit of help, chew the clock. Sure, if it's a wide open touchdown, you take it. Chew the clock, go through the run game, take your checkdowns. Guys are open underneath. Jared Goff is trying to force the football in certain places where it doesn't need to be forced into. And that's the problem with Jared Goff. He doesn't get a pass from me. I'm sorry. He does not get a pass from me. Not with this team. Not with this roster. With Penei Sewell leading this offensive line and the line that they have with Sam Laporta at the tight end position, one of the best tight ends to have right now in this league. And the same with St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who's a home run hitter. You have Tim Patrick. It's weapons galore with this team, and they're creative as hell. With Ben Johnson, Jared Goff is one of the biggest reasons to why they lost this football game, because you're putting your defense right back on the field with those interceptions. You are the leader with the team, and he did not step up in today's matchup. And one of the biggest reasons to why they lost this game is because of Jared Goff. And I look at this defense, you could say that Aaron Glenn had a piss poor game plan. He really did. Aaron Glenn has coached his butt off for the last 8 games of this season. As a matter of fact, let's scratch that. From week 1, he's coached his butt off with this defense. This has been a defense that's been very suspect over the last few years with the talent that he's been given. With a bunch of young players on the back end of this defense, they had a major shootout win over the Seattle Seahawks because Aaron Glenn is able to make adjustments. He's a great defensive mind. They have struggled against rushing quarterbacks. They struggle against RPOs. Yes, I will give you that. But Aiden Hutchinson went down 2 months ago against the Dallas Cowboys. He suffered a brutal leg injury, and he would have been able to come back and play in the Super Bowl if they were able to play that game. But we'll never get to see it because this team's not going to make it to the Super Bowl. They're going home after just their first game in the postseason this year, which is very unfortunate. But before I get to the rest of the roster, Aaron Glenn and the job that he did this year with so many defensive players on IR. No Aiden Hutchinson for majority of the season. Alim McNeil, he went down. He was on IR. And Alim McNeil is one of the best defensive tackles you can have. Malcolm Rodriguez, one of their best linebackers, he was on IR. He wasn't able to finish the season. Carlton Davis, their best cover corner on the back end of that defense right before he got injured. He was on IR. That's how he finished his season. Emmanuel Mosley, he was out. Ennis, the young player, rookie season, he was out. He was on IR. Derek Barnes, IR. It was only so much that you can do up front, but yet this defense balled out against the Minnesota Vikings. And let's not act like the Minnesota Vikings are a terrible team. Yes, they had a terrible outing last week against the Los Angeles Rams. But look at them the week before. High-power offense with Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson. You also have Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson. Aaron Glenn is clamping those boys up in the red zone. Give a lot of credit to the players. But you look at what Aaron Glenn was able to do, making those adjustments, swinging safeties over, moving back defensive backs. You still had talent on this team when those stars went down, but it wasn't enough to stop the run. It wasn't enough to put the pressure on the opposing quarterback. And give Brad Holmes a lot of credit. He made a move to bring in Zadarius Smith. Hopefully you hang on to him for a couple more years because he's going to be a very special player playing alongside Aiden Hutchinson. And Aiden Hutchinson was on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year this season. Amik Robinson went down in tonight's matchup dealing with an elbow injury. He wasn't able to return. Trevor Nowalski, solid player. He'll give you some good snaps here and there. Brian Branch is a phenomenal player. That's an all-pro player right there who should have never went in the second round. Once again, a great home run hitter by Brad Holmes to draft. Kirby Joseph, phenomenal this year. Kirby Joseph this season had one of the best seasons for a safety in NFL history. Kirby Joseph was able to go out there and have 9 interceptions on the year with 12 pass deflections. He led the league in interceptions. You have a bunch of talented players with Jahmyr Gibbs, with David Montgomery, St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond. He was on IR. You have all of those great players. And today, it didn't add up because your quarterback went out there and he had those interceptions. And once again, I'm not trying to place all the blame on Jared Goff. The Commanders came out. They took care of business. They ran the football. They confused them at the line of scrimmage. They did their thing. But when you're paying a quarterback a lot of money, like how you're paying Jared Goff right now, he has to step up. And I'm the same guy. I was hard on Justin Herbert last week, so I'm being consistent here. When you want to go out there and you want to be paid like a franchise quarterback, you have to step up as one. Against the Houston Texans, he had those 5 interceptions. Not every interception in that game was on Jared Goff, I will say that. But at the same time, when I look at Jared Goff, you were not the main reason to why they won that football game. They ran the football with Jahmyr Gibbs. They ran the football with Dave Montgomery. They ran the football and they had the walk-off field goal kick by the kicker. He saved you in that matchup. So in crucial moments, Jared Goff has to be better. This is not a rookie quarterback. This is not a year 2 quarterback. He's no longer in that baby stage of his career. You have to step up. You have that captain on your chest. The biggest question that I have now for the Lions, because this game is in the rearview mirror, it matters, but in a couple of weeks, it's not going to matter because you prepare for draft season. You prepare for free agency. Can you bounce back from this? Can Dan Campbell keep this team together? I really hope the Lions don't implode over the offseason. And I hope that they bring in 2 new coordinators if Ben Johnson does leave, which is expected, and the same with Aaron Glenn. Bring in those two good coordinators, and hopefully everything can be okay long term with the Detroit Lions. But right now, when I look at Jared Goff, I understand now why Sean McVay moved off of him. I really do. Because there is definitely a limit with him as a quarterback. If you want him to push you over the edge, you have to have everything else around Jared Goff to work out. And unfortunately for the Lions, you have that, and it hasn't worked out in the last 2 years. But this has been 4 to 5 years in the making in terms of this team being a top threat in the NFL. Forget just the NFC. This was a Super Bowl contending year for this team. And it ended in just one night. And I understand it happens to some of the best of them. It happens to some of the best teams. But can they bounce back? That is my question for the Lions. With a healthier defense, can you make some moves in free agency to bring in some better defensive players? It's going to be very interesting to see how this offense looks without Ben Johnson and how this defense will look without Aaron Glenn. But you have the head honcho in charge still. You have Dan Campbell. You have Brad Holmes. I trust both of those guys. Just right now, I am down on Jared Goff. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. And let me know in the comment section below. Do you blame Jared Goff mostly for this loss, or do you blame someone else? If you're new to the channel, you guys know what to do. Most importantly, each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.